Has a million paid packs in the system it has in place is whale bait. Well, here's the deal, right? Just make a an oath to yourself, essentially, to just never spend a dime on it. That's how I do it on games. If I don't like, if I think it'll be fine, there are some games where I just start the game and then just decide, okay, I'm just gonna be completely free to play on this game. Like, I'm not gonna try anything. Like, I'll just let it. I'll just play the game and just completely play it as free to play. And then there are some games where I'm just like, you know what? I know I'm gonna eventually pay for this game. I will allow slight whaling on this game. So far, for the most part, I think I've been successful at it. Let me see. Yeah, I would say so. Like, but there are obviously there are some where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be free to play on this game, but then like right on release, I'm like, okay, as long as it's like within still the beginning, I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna enjoy it if I'm just like completely free to play. I'm like, okay, I know I'm gonna pay, but I usually decide it at the beginning when I start the game, and I usually stick to it within, like, I would say, like, me filling out the game, getting a feel for the game, like within a week. If within a week I still feel the same way, it's like, okay, I'm fine spending, or okay, I'm not, I'm just gonna go completely free to play. Usually that will last until the end. Like, that will last until I quit the game. There was an MMO called V4 for Nexon. I was like the top 3 player in that game, in one of the servers there, and that server was like the second best server, actually. There were like 4 servers, I think, and we were like the second best server. And I was the top player, not top 3 free to play player, because I swore that I was just gonna be free to play there, and I was just like, yo, people were like aiming for me. The thing is, that game was like a PvP / guild versus guild, or server versus server, and they see me, they fucking run away. and I was just a free to play player in that game. And so if I really want to stay as free to play, I usually can, and I'm pretty competitive. Oh god, the game hanged, god damn it. Yeah, I made like YouTube videos back there. The funny thing is, so there's like 4 servers, right? There's like 4 servers, and we were the second strongest server, and I was in the second best guild at that time. And there were other pay to win. The thing is, it's a Nexon game. You can pay to win there. Like, actually, what's worse is to use their trading market. You need to use either a competitive currency that you only get by winning things, or you pay money. That was how pay to win that game was, because it's a mobile MMO. But then to allow trading, you need pay to win currency, basically. You need to buy you need to paid currency, either that or. But the funny thing is, because I was free to play, so I grinded, right? There's like this limited, there's this very this is called Victory 4 V4 in Nexon game. So there's this very limited currency And so if you're a free to play, in order to earn those paid currency, you need to sell things. And here's the deal: those things that you can sell are very rare drops. Like, you have to grind. There's this limited, you only get like limited entries on this like dungeon, and this dungeon in particular, you can PvP in this dungeon. So people, you could be farming, AFK farming, but you know, if you're in a guild that's like in hot blood with other guild, they would gang up on you. But the thing is, I had a character that is very fast, so they can't catch me if they ever gang up on me. And I was just like, I have like a specific rotation that a lot of these people actually ended up copying, by the way, because I was one of the first few that actually created like the proper rotation. Because these guys, all they know, because it was an MMO mobile game, right? So they allowed you to AFK farm. Like your MMO character would just AFK farm. But the thing is, if you just AFK farm, people will end up like ganging up on you, and they would steal your, they would kill you, and then, you know, basically you would lose your time, things like that. But see, the thing is, you farm in that dungeon. If you AFK farm in that dungeon, you're not getting the most use out of that dungeon, because you have like only 1 hour per day on that, like that particular, there's multiple levels. For each level you get 1 hour per day. But me though, I was free to play, right? But here's the thing, I was big brain enough. Oh shit, I got a set armor. I was big brain enough. There's this thing called like these elite monsters, and I specifically farm for these elite monsters, because these elite monsters are so they have a higher drop rate of tradable skills, or skill books, you know, to level up your skills, or tradable like enchantment items. Yeah. And so yeah, I'm telling you that those tradable things is how me as a free-to-play player ended up being one of the richest people, because I was farming those specific elite monsters. And the thing is, I managed to break down like their respawn time, and I managed to do a specific rotation in that dungeon, so that like by the time I rounded up the map, then the elite monster will spawn back again. And so basically I was going around the map killing each elite monster, and I was basically earning if I have to actually quantify how much I was earning like $50 per hour, I think, because of the drop rates that I ended up getting are basically worth $50 if you have to buy it. I was selling them for the in-game currency, but you know, I was like, bro, I don't really care. I was free to play. I was using that same currency to kind of to make my character stronger, because the drops that I was getting is like for other classes. So there weren't any campers sniping them. Oh, there are. Because I ended up releasing guides of like how to go around those and like basically I leaked that, because more people were also figuring that shit out, so I leaked that shit. And that was fine for me, because you know why? My character is fast, and I have a specific skills that dashes forward. My character was one of those fast, and then they also dash forward in their melee. And so on the times that I farm, So it's like, you know, some of them tried to copy, they tried to copy my rotation, but here's the deal. I'm so fast that I end up like rotating faster than them and end up like controlling the respawn timer because if I do it in a specific rotation, by the time I wait, because you can do the rotations kind of differently, because those elite monsters will die pretty fast as well. So I can sometimes like spice up the rotations a little bit. And so what they end up doing is every time they see me, they just give up. They're like, fuck it, dude, just use your hour. They're like, fuck it, dude, use your hour. I give up. Because if they go also in that dungeon at that same time, they're also using up their hours. So they cannot use so it's like if I'm the one who's controlling the spawn timer, because I know exactly when they will like come up, right, and then I will kill them. If they're in the wrong spot the moment it spawns, they're not gonna get that drop. And so I was just controlling that entire thing, and basically that is how me as a free-to-play player ended up being strong, because I managed to earn currency where people those whales, because they're like, oh, I need those skills, because I was getting those skills that the whales need. And I was selling it for them, and I was like selling it for a premium price. And then I used those money that I earned to buy my own skills, and I ended up being basically the strongest in my server for that class. There was only one other Boomblade. There was only one other of that same class, which was basically Mega Whale, and it's that whale that would like basically I think they spent like $1,000-$2,000 within like a day or two. It was that kind of whale. So but the thing is, you know what's funny is I basically were just as strong as them, because they had the gear, so they had like the stats, because you could buy those gears, but they didn't have the skill levels. They did not have the skill levels. So I had the skill levels, but they didn't have the skill levels. They have the stats. I don't have the stats, because the stats, that one was just pure RNG. Think like Maple Story potential system, where you just roll for the gear percentage RNG, so you just keep stacking up those percentage. That was basically how they were. And you roll for pets as well, and the pets will give you stats. So so that's how they ended up like being like quote unquote the strongest. But everyone in my server knew that I was like, yeah, this guy is the real thing. Because they always wonder, because because there's also CP board rankings. So like there was also CP board rankings, so you could see who's like the CP, and my character was never like the top 10 in terms of CP. However, there's a damage board, so whenever there's bosses, right, there's a damage board, and I'm basically like always at the top of the damage board, because I have like these strong skills that I keep like farming and buying. Meanwhile, for them, they just have the stats, but their skills were like low levels. Did I end up selling my stack free-to-play account? I did not, because that account was a Nexon account, and I have my Mabinogi account, Maple Story account in that together with it, so I couldn't sell it, because it's like yeah, it's not gonna. Well, plus also I typically don't sell accounts, but yeah. It was a stat because it was a Nexon account that I use on other games as well. Man, that was fun. But yeah, that was if you look at if I look at like the Twitch tracker thing, I did stream V4 for a good while back then. it was funny because like these guys just couldn't figure out. It's like, why? How is this guy like fucking out damaging us? They didn't know. Like, I was like, I was just getting all the skills. The thing is, they didn't prioritize getting the skills. To them, skills was like whatever. They thought that the bigger the number, they thought the bigger their number, their stats number is, the stronger they are. But I was like, I have my skill books. I have stronger skills than the majority of these guys. That was good times personally, and that's one of those few times where I was like, bro, I'm a desperate free to play. I'm just a free to play unit. You know, my guild knew that I was free to play. Even the enemy guild ended up learning that knowing that as well. It's like, bro, fucking this guy's always how is he topping the leaderboards? But I'll be honest with you, that is the most PvP that I would have ever done in my life. I normally do not like PvP, if you guys don't know, but in a group settings, I'm fine with PvP. Was there like a battle rating number? Yeah, like your combat power, there was a ranking. By the end, when I ended up like quitting, I ended up being the third highest CP actually, because you know what's the difference? The issue was because, so this is a server versus, this is like a MMO that encourages server versus server. So, and the thing is, there's bosses, and there's some time where the bosses spawn, and because I keep topping because I kept being at the top of the rankings, I get boss equipments and boss drops, and these boss drops ended up, the thing is, you cannot buy these boss drops. They wish they could buy these boss drops, but no, they cannot buy these boss drops. So I keep getting these stat boosters, and it made me catch up to all these whales, because the first server was basically hogging all the spots, and I just come out here and there in the top 10 rankings. So I ended up like hogging all those boss equipments. Those boss equipments you cannot trade, you cannot sell them, and you cannot it's basically character lock, so basically you have to earn it. And that's how I ended up being like one of the top players in my server. But then you know what made me quit though? Genshin. When Genshin came out, I quit. That was like, yeah, because also I was getting annoyed because I think there were guild drama and server drama, and then server merge and things like that. And then there were too many politics. That's what happens when you end up like being a top guild. Like, there's so many politics that's happening. I'm like, bro, I'm not enjoying this shit. Like, it's like, oh, I have to freaking give up my spot for these guys. What the fuck, dude? I'm like, because the top guild ended up like, yo, we need to work against this big guild, or the big server, because we're the second weakest server, or we're the second strongest server, right? So but then the first server, for context, the first server had Eden in them. Eden, the guild that's topping mobile games typically. Eden Eternal, they had like 3 or 4 guilds, I think, and so they were hogging the spots. Keep in mind, this was a mobile game. This was a mobile game that also was on PC. So Eden was there. They were hogging they were hogging server 1, but we were on server 2. And but then, like, I think because we are the top 2 guild, the top 1 guild in my server, like, they're like, okay, we need to work together to because we need some rankings, because Eden is like getting all these. Eden was basically hogging all the boss drops, right? Because of that. And so, like, okay, we need to hold out. Uh, imagine basically, you know, Sino Alice, Coliseum. I think every hour or every night, there's like a staggered boss spawns every like hour or two. So in like 3 different hours. So basically, it was basically raid day every day for 3 hours. That was how intense that game was. And sometimes you want your server to get stronger because you end up like getting buffs, but the issue in that one was only the guild will get that buff on that if they end up like getting the first place on DPS. And the issue, I think the politics behind it was like the first guild in our server was trying to use my guild because we're just the second strongest guild, right? So we're not like the strongest. You know, the thing is they spent like $10,000 in like what, in like a span of like a month or something, just to try to win things like that. I was like, I was surprised at the end. I was like, free to play, but you know, it was one of my most fun thing that I've done, but it's also the most PvP that I would ever do in an MMO again. There were just so many. It was very fun, I gotta say. But it also, you know, when you try to try hard and when you're like in the eyes of many people, especially on an open PvP, it does get sometimes frustrating because either your guild gets like kill on sight, like, oh shit, you guys did something bad, kick that guy, or we're gonna kill on sight all your guild members. And then some people are like trying to be snakes and try to, it's like, oh yeah, this guy did this thing and this. There was like a lot of rumors that are like, I feel like baseless accusations as well. But PvP MMO, that's how it was. It was like one of the first few that I kind of got very involved in. I normally in an MMO, I'm like usually either like a casual or like, yeah, actually most of the time in an MMO I was more on the casual side. I was like that solo grinder, but like in a casual guild I end up like usually being at the top of the I'm usually at the top of my rankings in the guild, but I'm never like, I never like purposely look out for like a try-hard guild or anything. I usually am just like chilling in like this chill guild. As long as they're active, I'm like, I usually stay still. But we will see. We'll see. Lost Ark is gonna come out. I'm not sure. I think I'm gonna be casual on Lost Ark. Yeah, I was surprised also that I ended up being too much competitive on that as a free-to-play. It is pretty accomplishing though. I would say one of the best feelings in a game where there's like pay-to-win mechanics in it is like being free-to-play and being able to compete at the top level while being free-to-play. I think that's one of the things that I would like. I would say it's one of the most accomplishing things and most satisfying things. That's why I would say on some games I do choose to be free to play, because I was like, not necessarily for the for like I hate the company or anything, but sometimes it's just for the challenge. Pretty fun that way.